Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So in this one, we're going to play Trash or Grab, the game where we check the weekly vendors to see are the items worth grabbing, or are they absolute trash. As always with this series, we record this on the weekend. This is recorded on the 14th of June 2025, so if you are watching in the future, things will be different. That said, I've had a brief look and there are some really good things today, so do pay close attention because you want to watch this. For the golden vendor herself, you can find her in Cyrodiil. She is located in northern High Rock Gate. If you are on Aldmeri Dominion, you can find her in the western Elsewhere Gate. And if you're on the Ebonheart Pat, she's over in the southern Morrowind Gate. We will also touch upon the Scalarium, Infinite Archive and Telvar vendors after this one. As always with this series, if you like what I do here, likes and comments are greatly appreciated. And if you want to stay up to date, then do subscribe so you don't miss out. And just a huge thanks to the YouTube and Patreon members who support the content. They get exclusive access, early content and so much more. For the vendor this week, she's selling the following things. She has the Draugr Rest set. When you complete a fully charged heavy attack, you create a circle of concentrated ground that heals you and your allies for X amount over 10 seconds. It has a 10-second cooldown. This is not a terrible set, it's pretty okay in PvE. In PvP it can be used as well because it puts it on the ground, so you can use this in some sort of like battleground matches or in sort of tower fights in Cyrodiil. It's not my go-to set in all honesty, but it's not a bad set. It's also worth noting that this is a dungeon set, so if you haven't done the dungeon then you can obviously buy this and get a gold straight away, so that is an option there. Me personally, I don't play healers too much and I don't think it's needed. Healing's very strong as it is. So if you want extra healing, grab this. If you're in PvE, it's decent. It is worth using for PvE. So yeah. We then have the Dreamer's Mantle set. When you take damage whilst under 35% health, you knock everybody down, which is a stun, and you restore some magic back. It has a 7-second cooldown. This is basically an auto, I don't want to be executed set. There are other sets similar to this, so I wouldn't rush to buy this. I think the monster set, Gilgamesh the Destroyer, I think it's pronounced, in Imperial City, does a similar thing. When you break free, you stun people. For that reason alone, I don't think this is worth using because it's such, it's a 5-piece bonus. If this was on like a 3-piece set or a monster set, it would be pretty good. But I think you want to skip this. I don't think it's worth the money. You have Hulk and Draugr. This used to be fantastic. It lets you stack stamina, and then by stacking the stamina you get damage. Every 10.5 max resources, stamina or magicka gives you 1 weapon or spell damage respectively. And yes, you can like mix and match it, so you could have all stamina stacking but your magic skills do get boosted because of that, or vice versa. So this is quite a decent set. It's not the best set in all honesty, but for some builds this is quite good, especially if you're on a sorcerer and you're using Bound Aegis. And you change it to Bound Armaments instead, which will then give you a stamina boost rather than a magic boost, and then this gets boosted even further. But I wouldn't rush to get this. It used to be really good. It's okay now. We then have Stendar's Ring. When you heal yourself or an ally, you remove all negative effects on them for 30 once, and it's got a 30-second cooldown per target. This is pretty good in PvP. There are better sets like Curse Eater in my opinion. This is only good if you want to back bar this set because you can just literally turn it on, cleanse everybody, and just move on. The problem is this cooldown's way too long. It's a cool idea. It's just, if it was like 15 seconds maybe, but 30, that's too long in my opinion. So I wouldn't rush to buy this unless you really want to have a group set and you just get some free cleansing, but it's not worth the 5-piece in my opinion. We then have like the star of the show. This is a fantastic monster set. Not only that, it's also shoulders. So as you know, I always rank shoulders slightly higher than any other thing, simply because you have to get Undaunted keys to buy them. For that reason alone, we don't have to do that, which is a really big advantage. And on top of this, this is a DLC set, which means if you don't have access to the dungeon, you can buy this as well, which is really, really good because the 1-piece is not bad, but it's this 2-piece. If you get ESO Plus, there's an event that comes with free ESO Plus for a while, you can then farm the rest of it. This is one of the best sustain sets for PvP in the game. Each second you're in combat, you get a stack of Dark Light, up to 30 stacks. It increases your recovery. Now, I have shown on stream and on build videos many times that having this here is really good, but if you use like 1 Magma Incarnate and 1 Baron Thrisk, you get a similar amount of regen. The only advantage that this has is that this is better if you're in prolonged fights. And for most players, that is the case. unless you're kind of going to go on a sorcerer, you're streaking in, killing somebody, repeating, or Nightblade. This is typically better for most players, and if you want to stack high regens, it's even better still because it increases your base, which then gets boosted by your minor endurance. It gets boosted by your major endurance, which will give you more regens, and vice versa. This reason alone, I would buy every single piece of this because it is needed. It is a really good monster set. Myself, I won't use these traits massively. I might use Impen, so I'm going to go this route. So I don't have this one. I do have this one, but I don't have this one. So and in that way, I've got the full set, and this is a really, really good set to get. We then have another set, which is quite an interesting set. It's a Squirrel of the Retribution set. So when you take damage, you gain one of random effects. Minor protection, you get 5% shield, you heal. It's kind of mid, in all honesty. It's a cool idea in theory. The problem is that the shield is too low, the health is too low, and the minor protection is too low. Now, in my opinion, you only want to buy this if you want to fill your sticker book. Like, that's kind of it. Again, because it's shoulders, I'm going to buy this just because I want to fill the sticker book, but I wouldn't recommend buying this just because I don't think it's good. But that said, Zostos, they do sometimes buff things, so I would rather have it than not have it. And because I've got the kit already, I don't need to pick it out of the Undaunted box anymore. So that's the only reason I'm getting this one. But Roska, I would definitely get this. Roska of the Warped is a fantastic. Do buy this. We're now going to hop on over to the Infinite Archive, and I've already had a brief look, and there's some really good stuff there today, guys. So I would sort of run over there if you haven't already. And as with this series, if you like what I do, obviously, then do subscribe. It does help, and likes and comments are greatly appreciated. And talking of content, I will be streaming over on YouTube this evening, so 9 PM UK. If you are interested in that, where we do subclassing, PvP, all that good stuff, then you know where the channel is. Once you get into the Infinite Archive, you want to go to the far east, and you're looking for a vendor called Filer All. Filer All sells a range of stock, and they rotate their stock every Tuesday to Tuesday, but we put this in one big video to save your time. The vendor themselves has a unique currency called Archival Fortunes, and they sell this, but it means you have to engage with the minigame. Now, they have two leads today. One is for the Petrified Oak Loop, and one's for the Twinned Jade Insets. This is for the jewelry crafting station, which is pretty naff. I won't waste your money on this. It's expensive. This one is really good. So Oakensole is a very, very, very good mythic. I can show this in our collections. So we go into our miscellaneous and antiquities. Oakensole is absolutely fantastic. So what Oakensole does is it basically lets you play as a one-bar build really effectively. So while in combat and equipped, you get Minor Berserk, Minor Courage, Major Brutality, Major Sorcery, Major Prophecy, Major Savagery, Minor Force, Minor Protection, Major Resolve, Minor Mending, Minor Fortitude, Minor Intellect, Minor Endurance, Minor Heroism, Minor Slayer, Minor Aegis, and Empower. What this basically means is this is your buffs always on. So as for a build, if you use this, if you think of this build here, armor buff, damage buff. So that's these two skills already replaced with this one set. You then have a damage buff here. So this is your prophecy. This is replaced by the set already. You might then have a sustain skill. So we get that too. So you end up getting all the buffs you need. You just lose bar space. So what you sacrifice for the buffs always being on, you lose for sort of utility because you can't have as many extra skills to cover all scenarios. That said, it's a very good mythic, especially if you're new to PvP or you're doing PvE on a heavy attack. This is fantastic. This lead itself, it comes from the strong boxes in Murkmire, which means this is really hard to get. So I would, if you don't have access to Murkmire, but you have access to the antiquity system, this might be worth getting because you know this is a zone you don't have to actually own anymore to get there, which is good for that reason alone. The other advantage is that you do have to do the saves and the loot, thieves troves, which are really RNG. You could be doing them for hours. Now the whole demand for them has gone, so it'll be less competitive, so you'll be able to get more of them. But for this reason alone, I would buy this personally. It was an absolute pain to farm myself, but I think it's really worth getting. We then have Kalnar's Nightmare Mask. It looks really cool. It's a really cool looking monster piece. If you like how a kind of sort of gothic-y skeleton mask looks, this is for you. I just wouldn't waste it because I don't like buying cosmetics. I prefer the items that impact the gameplay. We then have some scripts today from the Scalarium system. So we have Intellect and Endurance, Poison, and Knights of Valor. Intellect Endurance, fantastic. Buy this. This is really good. This really helps on sustain skills. With these subclassing and superstar and scribing like all mixed together. So the superstar is this thing. The scribing is how we can like make our custom skills, and subclassing lets us mix and max skill lines. You find that that regen buff is very, very useful on things like contingency with healing. You can then put in like gladiator tenacity for damage reduction or opportunity for more damage, and you're going to put on the regen, and you get a skill that gives you a burst heal, reduces your damage, and it gives you regens. Fantastic skill. This is really good. So that script there alone is worth buying. Just know it will be 5 times the price because I know this already, so it will be 10,000. The poison damage is mid. I wouldn't get this, and Knight's Valor is pretty like mid as well. It's only used on like niche builds. We're gonna hop on over to the Scalarium. This is part of the Gold Road, and this is the scribing system. If you don't have access to this, ZOS have come out on record to say that this is becoming available to all players in July 2025, which means you can access this very, very soon, even if you don't own it. Which, for this reason alone, I would watch this stuff just so you can kind of see what scripts to use, how you can mix and match them, because there are some good stuff sometimes, especially with subclassing added in. You need to kind of utilize both systems to maximize power in PvP. When you get inside, you are looking for the vendor on the far east of the place, and you have to have completed the first wing, which is the Indrik. If you've completed this wing on your character once, it goes and gives an achievement for the whole account, and this vendor then appears when you come in here and with anybody else. Fernando sells a range of different stuff. So he has all the Grimoires always active, but he sells some different scripts that change week on week. So he has Force, Uncertainty, Immobilize, and Wayfarer's Mastery. Now, all of these are ones which they're okay in their own sort of effect, but you're not going to use them massively. The only one you might use is Immobilize for PvE. So for that reason alone, I would suggest buying this. And what you can do, which I'll do in a second, is buy one and bank it. So for example, I don't know this Uncertainty. I'm going to buy this. You'll notice I can't buy any more now, which is really annoying. But what you can do, because I haven't used it yet, I can actually deposit it. And so I can then go, oh, I'm going to deposit that one. And I'm allowed to buy another one. So this is really good if you have alt characters, because you can then essentially stock up whilst there's a script that you might use in the future. What I've been doing recently is buying like 4 or 5 of each one, just because I have 4 or 5 in the bank. If they change a script or they change a scribed skill or something becomes more useful later on, I can then, have the script ready to go and not have to pay millions of gold, which I have done before, to buy the scripts because they are very, very expensive. And the whole RNG game is a bit depressing, as we all know. So that's what I'd recommend doing for there. For the Wayfarer's Mastery, similar one here. So this is a script that you can use. It's normally an affix, signature, and you use it on things like Trample or on like the Restoration one. And essentially what it does is it gives you movement speed. It's mainly for that. It's not the best. There are better ones in my opinion. But as I said, I'm going to buy a couple of these just because it's useful to have. Will I use it? Unlikely, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's also worth stressing with these scripts is that they are like reduced if your account knows it. So because my account knows this Force somewhere on there, this character in particular, it is going to be a 5th rather than 5 times across. So it would normally be 20,000. It's now 4,000. What that means is you can with this buy this on one character, use it, switch to a different character, and then the whole account gets a reduction, and then buy it cheaper on the other ones for subsequent characters. This is normally 60,000, so that's why I haven't done that, because this is very expensive typically. So that's just a little quick way to save some money if you want. And I'm going to, this time, I don't normally do this, just look at this vendor here. He sells some stuff here. Just, if you like this stuff, pause it, but that's what they're selling here. I don't care about this stuff personally, but there we go. The final place to go is the Imperial City, to then have a look at the Telvar and see if the Telvar merchant is selling anything that's worth getting. The Answer is usually no in my experience, but that doesn't mean it's not worth checking. And more importantly, they can sell some scripts and some stuff that you really want. Expensive, but could save you a lot of headache. So when you find the vendor, you're looking for a vendor that's called the Telvar merchant. It's this person here. There's one in each home base, and then they will sell a range of different stuff. So this week we have Snake in the Stars, Wizard's Riposte, and then some leads. Now we've got leads for 2 mythics, one for the Steam Guards mythic, and one for the Talk of Tonal Constancy. Now each mythic is good in its own right. They have like very niche uses. And so what you want to kind of do is really think about how would you use this. What I found with the Steam Guards mythic itself is that they're not really something you're going to use in most cases. Is whilst you're like blocking for 0.5 seconds, you reduce all damage by 90%. It's kind of like a pseudo parry, but the problem is it's got a 10-second cooldown. If you block it successfully, it reduces to 5 seconds, but that still means once every 5 seconds you can basically block all the damage. Whereas if you just built a block build to just do that properly, then you don't have to use this at all, and you can use a different mythic. So I wouldn't get this personally. I don't think this is needed. I would skip this. The Talk of the Tonal Constancy is a sustain mythic. Now the problem with this one is that yes, this gives you loads of like magicka and stamina recovery, but it's on your opposite stats. So this one itself, this comes from Blackheart Haven. It is a dungeon. So if you want to, avoid the dungeon, then, buy this. I don't think this is worth it. The dungeon is very, very easy, very quick. So I would skip that personally. But the mythic itself, it says the following. Whilst you're in combat and you are below your primary max resource, your secondary resource then regenerates really fast. And then it's the other way around. So what that means is that as you're using your stamina gets low, your magicka gets a regen boost. If you use your magicka, your stamina gets a regen boost. It's awkward to use. It's really good with Sorcerer because you have access to Dark Exchange. You can swap your resources around. So that's where you can benefit massively with this, and with subclass, and that's even easier this time around. But there's better sets like Wretched Vitality. So for that reason alone, I wouldn't waste this. I think there's better mythics for PvP and there's better mythics for PvE. And this has since kind of lost its use because there's just better stuff around, basically. That's kind of the long and short of it. So don't rush to buy that. The actual 2 items here, Snake in the Stars and Wizard's Riposte. These are all great in their own way. Wizards is good because it slows like crit resist, and it also reduces people's critical damage, so that's nice. It's not a practical set though. It used to be very, very strong. Now it's not that good because it's got a small duration. And also the actual resistance is flat rather than being like a duration, so you can't backbar this anymore. Snake in the Stars, when you apply this to somebody who has a major buff on them or debuff, they then get this poison that does oblivion damage 0.1 seconds, and it does 1300 oblivion damage. This means it bypasses like shields, which is great. It really works against people stacking heals. The problem is most people get a heal that's once every second. This is for 4 seconds. You're going to get about 4,000 proc out of this. You might, if they got 2 or 3 heals rotating around, you might get 6,000 or 7,000 proc. It's decent. It's true damage, but the cooldown is quite long, and you're not going to be able to line up burst easily with this. So use this as like a dot set where you want to really punish somebody for healing quickly to try and stop them getting back to full health. In PvP, people just use burst because you can just kill them quickly. So I would personally skip this, but it does have some uses. The one thing to stress is it's 100k. You can just buy this cheaper, so don't waste your money. Within our 3 scripts, we have Innovation and Disease and Parry. All of these are pretty naff, and it's not worth the price, in all honesty. Disease is cool for extra disease like skills. There's not many of them in the game, so it's nice for that idea. But beyond that, it's not really that practical. And what you're going to find quite quickly is there's not many good ways to boost the actual damage other than like Swarm Mother, that kind of stuff. There's sets like Swarm Mother who will increase poison or disease damage respectively. There's like different ones like that, but they don't buff your healing, and for that reason alone, I wouldn't rush to get this. Fencer's Parry, you can use this on your 2H. It's pretty cool. So what this one does, is when you use something like the Smash from 2H, you can put on, for example, poison or damage, and we're going to bleed. You could use defense parry, so it deflects the next attack made against you within 3 seconds, which basically means you just take no damage, which is quite cool. And you can put something like Mangle to reduce the health still, or Breach to give them like a debuff. This becomes a spammable that every 3 seconds you reduce some damage, so it becomes like a way to do damage and also to just get more mitigation because you're avoiding 1 in 3 hits. Pretty good in a 1v1, but you're not going to kill people quickly with it. But that's kind of the Wenders this week. There's a few good things, a few things that I'll definitely like rush out to buy. The monster sets in particular are fantastic. There are some really, really good leads this week in the Scalarium, so the Infinite Archive, so do get those. And the Scalarium, although it has a few scripts that are a bit like mid, it's still worth buying them just to get them in the bank. You never know when you might need them. But I'm going to call this one here. I'm going to say a massive thanks to all the people that have watched this long, and if you haven't done so, let me know in the comments what you think of the sets. Do you agree or disagree? And like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you next video or next stream. I'll say huge thanks to the members who do support and the patrons and so on. It does help. But I'll catch you next video, so take care guys. Thanks for watching, and bye.